see travelling down those Silk Roads.
Education reform is once again the ground zero of British politics. The Education Secretary is on a mission to improve England's schools. Bridget Phillipson says we are still underserving the most disadvantaged pupils and those with special needs. In a speech today promising change.
This is a new era in accountability for schools, a new era of relentless improvement to drive up standards and open up opportunity for all.
At the heart of her proposals, more regional support for schools that would otherwise be forced to become academies, and reforming Ofsted, which was created to help parents choose the best school for their child, but has been widely criticised for the stress single-word assessments put on school leaders. Head teacher Ruth Perry died by suicide in 2023 after a particularly tough Ofsted inspection. The new Ofsted proposals offer a more comprehensive judgment, rating performance from dark red to dark green across several measures, including achievement, leadership, behaviour and inclusion. But some teachers say it will create even more stress. William Ford C of E School in East London was recently rated good with outstanding elements by Ofsted. But the head teacher says his inspection was needlessly gruelling and fears the new system looks no better.
All that has happened is we have moved to a system now where there are more grades across more areas. That puts more pressure on schools to be high performing in all of those areas. And don't get me wrong, every leader wants to be high performing, but that looks different in different places because there are different needs in different contexts, and leaders are the best people to know how to meet those needs.
But don't parents and families deserve scrutiny?
Scrutiny is good if it is in the right areas as well, but there is so much within the Ofsted framework that needs to be met. You end up almost sort of ticking boxes.
The most eye-catching of Phillipson's other proposals, ending mandatory academization for failing schools. Academies were introduced by the Blair government.
Education, education and education.
Alongside Ofsted ratings, academies created competition where schools vie for the best pupils, some say to the detriment of collaboration. Schools in England and indeed across the whole of the UK compare reasonably well against other leading OECD countries, but critics say there's little evidence academies perform any better than their local authority counterparts. And it's claimed the academy system encourages off-rolling, where schools get rid of pupils they think will do badly to stop their ratings falling. Today's proposals are meant to encourage cooperation.
The commitment to work alongside the profession through a social partnership model where everybody's around the table, from trade unions to employers to local authorities and others, means that actually there's a proper commitment to listening to all of those voices and finding the right solutions. That's what feels very different to the last time we heard a speech like this from a government before that actually didn't really deliver.
I'm quite concerned about Labour's education policy in general. It looks like they're trying to weaken standards across the board, and also there's a question about weakening school accountability as well. We all want to see a fair system in which teachers ensure that they can progress and improve children's education. It's not about a blame game, but I do want to ensure that there is really clear choice for parents and that we're driving up standards.
The consultations on Ofsted and school accountability reform close at the end of April.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Education Secretary and I started by asking what she made of claims that today's proposals by Ofsted for school inspection are just a rehash of the old system, or maybe worse.
No, we did commit to removing single headline grades. That was an important step. We acted quickly to do that, but it's important that we get the system that comes next right. And Ofsted are consulting, and I know that they want to hear the views of parents, of teachers and others as part of that process. But what this new report card system will bring is a much clearer sense of what's working well within schools, but also where schools need to improve. Much more information for parents, and really shining a light on areas that are really fantastic, but also where things aren't working, a real focus on that too.
So where the unions say this is terrible, you'll just take them on?
But my priority is children and their life chances. That will always be my focus. And I do think parents deserve more information about what's going on within their children's schools. You could read an Ofsted report today under the current system and be left almost entirely in the dark as to what's working well and what needs to change. I don't think that's good enough in terms of driving school improvement, but also I think parents deserve a lot more.
But if the family of Ruth Perry, the head teacher who took her life, are very worried that this is just a rehash of the old system, and then teachers are saying this is still going to put us under terrible emotional stress. Is that what you want?
Of course, the well-being of school leaders is incredibly important, and in parallel, we as the department are also setting out a consultation around wider accountability reform, and we make clear that the well-being of staff is an important consideration. I've met with Ruth Perry's family, with her sister, Professor Julia Waters. The family have been through a profound tragedy, and I am clear that wider reform of Ofsted is also required. Sir Martin Oliver, the Chief Inspector, has started that process, but there is more to do, and that does involve further kind of change around how Ofsted operates, especially around governance, and we're determined to work with Ofsted to make that happen.
I mean, more broadly, you've suddenly become one of the most controversial cabinet ministers in government. You're being accused of undermining academies, of being ideological, of being a Marxist who wants to take away the independence of academy schools. Did you underestimate the opposition to some of the things you're doing?
I perhaps underestimated the degree to which the Conservatives will be more interested in seeking to defend their record than they would be on delivering better life chances for today's children. Now, when I say that, I should be clear that I think there are profound strengths within our current system that have been built over 20 to 30 years from reformers like David Blunkett to Michael Gove. And I want to build on what's working, develop that further and spread excellence. But let's be clear, there's lots that's going on in England schools that isn't delivering the best outcomes for children. Children with SEND who are increasingly being left behind and not the focus of our attention. The persistent disadvantage gap that we experience, and the fact that so many children don't leave school well prepared for what comes next, lacking those basic skills in English and maths. So I will bring focus and challenge, and if that involves upsetting some people some of the time, then that's my duty and my responsibility as Secretary of State.
Michael Gove's very critical of what you're doing, of the new national curriculum that all the schools have got to follow, and the rules around it, academies, and they point out that 90% of schools are getting good or outstanding ratings, that Britain's gone up or England's gone up in the PISA rankings. I mean, they're saying this is a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
But they're resting on their laurels. Academies have got an important role to play, have been crucial in driving up standards, and I won't hesitate to act where schools are failing. They will continue to become academies, or where they are already academies, they will be moved into a strong trust, because there can be no excuses where children are being severely failed.
But you're also taking away some of the powers of academies, aren't you? You're saying they've all now got to follow the national curriculum, and anything that they do is beyond that, which will be very difficult for a lot of them. I mean, are you taking away the entrepreneurial spirit of some schools?
I'm determined to make sure that the innovation, the best practice that we see is spread far and wide. But I approach this as a politician, but also as a parent. And I think parents watching this would reasonably expect that the teacher at the front of their child's classroom is a qualified teacher. That's what we'll make sure happens for new entrants to the profession. And that alongside that, wherever their child goes to school, there is a core expectation of that national curriculum, a floor but no ceiling on what schools can innovate beyond the national curriculum.
Bridget Phillipson, thank you very much.
Thank you.